Welcome back to Adelante, Chicago. They're touting it as the preservation strategy. It's a 5-year plan to strengthen housing affordability in neighborhoods like Pilsen and Little Village. There's a lot of it, or a lot to it, I should say, and what kind of impact it could have and it could make in those neighborhoods. Joining us now is Alderman George Cardenas to explain exactly what it all means. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for the invite.
Welcome you. Yeah, this is an interesting topic because it affects some of our heavy Latino neighborhoods like Pilsen and Little Village. This 5-year plan, what is it looking to accomplish? Well,
for certain, as we were just talking a few minutes ago, since 2010, about 10,000 people have been displaced from Pilsen. We want to avert that as you go further west into West Pilsen and what is also known as Little Village. Community is strong, work ethic is phenomenal. We want to be able to keep the demographics and yet bring the economic cycle of improvements in our communities. So how do we accomplish that? It's the key. Preservation is one of the strategies, but we also want to tackle the affordable component of investors and how many units are affordable. And then from there, what incentives or additional incentives, I should say, are coming from the state and the federal government so that investors have the tools and the incentives to be able to say, you know, I want to do more, but the formula has to work, right? We want to be able to put that in play as well.
Okay, this is a multi-part plan which includes a number of things. I've got 5 key things in here. One of them is preserving landmark architecture that's in that neighborhood. Why is that so important?
Well, obviously you maintain the character of the neighborhood, right? The cultural components that everybody likes. There's people that I see on tours in Pilsen. If you've been to Pilsen, they come from obviously from different states because they obviously don't have maybe that in their particular cities. But this is a city rich of culture in different neighborhoods. Pilsen's one of those particular neighborhoods, so is Little Village. We want to preserve that, definitely.
Okay. So that's an easy one. The more difficult topic is this issue of gentrification and people feeling like they are being pushed out. So how does a plan like this address that and make sure that the people who have been living in those neighborhoods for 20, 30 years can afford to stay there? Well,
again, the idea is to keep the costs in play so that folks can afford the 2 or 3 bedroom units that are needed to keep big families like Latino families have in the community. And the way you do it is by, again, we talked about the funding and the incentives that developers can have. We can also
explain that to me. What is that?
Well, you know, the city spends very little on housing and how to incentivize developers and also homeowners, if you will, so they can keep the units that they have and they don't tear them down or they don't convert them into one particular single family home. We want to be able to have investors keep those units, but also keep the cost down so that people can still be living in those units.
Another part of this is jobs, and how do you attract jobs to those neighborhoods when a lot of the positions that we're seeing nowadays are in the downtown center area? So how do you get that going?
Well, we know we've been obviously trying to look at the country as a whole to see where we can sort of match ideas and goals. Fruitvale in California is actually one of the cities that we're taking a look at, and how demographics stayed the same, but the economics changed, right? We keep people in their neighborhoods, even though rents went up, people were able to keep up with
because they could afford it through the jobs.
Because they could afford it, correct, through the jobs. By creating in that cycle, the job, the economic impact, we can do both, right? We can keep affordability and we can keep demographics as well in there and not displace people.
Okay. Is there a push right now to get some of those companies in there? Is there talk right now to?
There's talk. I know I have in my end a proposal that looks at affordable housing from a different perspective and taking tax credits from the federal government now that this new law is passed that allows for investors to, to take a look at marginalized communities and, create tax exempt bonds that they can obviously use to offset any cost that may be an issue for them.
In your eyes, what the city's doing, does it go far enough, or do we still have a long way to go?
We have more to go. We have definitely, the city has to make it a priority from a funding standpoint. Nothing happens unless the homeowner as well that has the 2 or 3 units can borrow or have some skin in the game to be able to repair those units, make it modern, yet at the same time keep affordability in play.
Okay. George Cardenas, our alderman here for the city of Chicago. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite.